What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Crew 2, and well, as y'all know, it is Wednesday, which means the new summit is now live, and for this week we have the WolfGuard, which has a pretty interesting looking platinum reward, the WolfGuard Rooftop, which, by the way, you do actually get to look at that in one of the races because I did notice some of the other racers have it, but nonetheless, in gold we have the legendary half set boosted for the Rallycross class, which any Nitro Chemist set for pretty much any of the classes is always wanted, so you guys can always change those affixed stats on there and get like better stats if you would like to, and maybe go for like a different build. But moving over to the next summit before episode 2, which is kind of insane, is going to be the Dominion Kings, which has a really cool looking Nissan 370Z Dominion edition. I cannot wait to try out this vehicle next week here and actually get to put on a good build and see what it can do compared to some of the better street cars, because I'm sure many players are most likely looking for some other vehicles to use besides the quote-unquote meta vehicles. But jumping into this summit, I think this one's going to be really fun. We have a drift event, Rallycross, basically a mix of everything in there. We have 2 slaloms, which I think will be pretty fun at low altitude. Then you do get to test out the vehicle in one of the races as well. So this is going to be a really fun summit. Because this summit looks like it will have a nice variety of each vehicle class, I would say a lot of players are going to enjoy this one. So now moving over to the WolfGuard Summit, starting right off here with the Escape. So for this one, I did end up running the drag car. Now, if you really wanted to, you could use pretty much any vehicle on this. My friend actually used an Alpha GP vehicle and got 18,000 yards with that, so you don't have to use a drag car. The main reason is the objective is very slow on this one, so as long as you get on the highway, you are pretty much good to go after that. And well, by the way, guys, you do not have to get 27,000 yards. I would say maybe like 21,000 or something will probably get you 157k, but luckily it's very lenient on its score, which is pretty awesome. But moving over to the slalom this week, I did actually use a Rallycross vehicle, which is probably not a very smart decision, because the Rally Raid vehicles are probably going to be your best option on this, because the Rallycross really does not belong on terrain like this, but luckily you can still get 156,000 points using one of these other vehicle classes, so at least you can actually mix up the gameplay a good amount. Now moving over to the buoy smashing, I would say these are going to be pretty straightforward. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I did pretty bad on this one. I was like kind of all over the place with it. I was missing a lot of the buoys as well, but I still got 155k. I do recommend trying out the Vector because of the handling of this boat. I find it to be a lot better than the 1414 Demon. And now moving over to what I think is probably the most frustrating event in this entire summit is going to be a Rallycross Stunt event. So for this one, I did end up using the Ford Fiesta. Now I might end up going back into this and seeing if I can get around 60,000 points, but I honestly was working on this for like 30 to 40 minutes last night trying to figure out like the best way to do it. And I highly recommend, guys, to try out a vehicle that is all-wheel drive on this because of the stability of it. I did try out the Porsche 911 GT3 and my goodness, that was a nightmare. The Ford Fiesta definitely did a lot better because it's all-wheel drive and it handles a lot better with that. I also noticed lowering the tire grip on this vehicle was allowing it to drift a lot easier. And funnily enough, I actually used the Ford Fiesta on like 3 different events in this entire summit. And then moving over to the street race here, you're going to have to use the Mercedes-Benz GLC 250 4MATIC Coupe, which personally, guys, I really haven't used this vehicle all that much, but I have to admit, it really isn't that bad of a car. Now, I might end up going back into some of these events and trying to get a better time on them because, well, I did do this kind of late last night, and my goodness, I was struggling on some of them. But the Mercedes-Benz really isn't that bad, to be honest with you. I mean, this vehicle does feel like you took your friend's freezer and wanted to drive it down the street because this is a really big SUV, but it did do a lot better than I thought. And for the size of this vehicle, it also handles a lot better than I initially thought as well, so that's good at least. But moving over to the Rallycross event here, I also used the Ford Fiesta, which I don't know what it is about this vehicle, but I've been loving this thing a lot compared to the other ones. Now, don't get me wrong, the Mitsubishi and the Cadillac are probably still going to be the best vehicles, but I've been trying to mix this up a little bit and try out different cars and all that, and the Ford Fiesta is a blast. I do recommend trying this thing out if you guys have not. This is also one of those Rallycross events that have a ton of turns in it, so do be a little careful on that. If you guys have a build on your vehicle that it slides too much, it might make you lose a lot of time on this one. And then moving over to the other street race, you're going to have to drive the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, which I actually kind of like driving this truck as well. Personally, I would really love to see like a Trackhawk or something added to the Crew 2, which I would say many players are waiting for that. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. But this race is going to have a lot of turns, and I was also driving this thing in manual, and my goodness, that was honestly a nightmare. I did find myself switching between second and third gear on most of the turns in this event, and to be honest, I was kind of getting frustrated with this truck because if I was in third gear around the turn, I noticed the truck was bogging down and going kind of slow, but if I shifted it back into second, it would be redlining and not go anywhere, which is kind of annoying. So I would recommend trying out automatic on this, might make it a little bit easier. But besides that, the Jeep Grand Cherokee really isn't that bad of an SUV. And then moving over to another motocross event for this week is actually going to be on one of the tracks, and well, the SquadX event is going to be one of my favorite races to do, and I also recommend trying out the KTM 450 EXC if you guys have not. I would say a lot of players probably aren't big fans of the motocross class in this game because of how the bikes handle, but I think the KTM 450 is a great start with them because this bike has great handling. It's also really easy to maneuver in the air and all that. It doesn't like lose itself like some of the other ones do. Luckily, the cuts in this event really aren't that bad either because most of them are just around some of the turns and or trying to get around them a little bit quicker or going off the track just slightly to get into the checkpoint a little bit faster. And now moving over to the final event in this summit, you will have to use a touring bike on one of these street events, and I personally found this one to be really fun. The KTM 1190 has really good handling overall, and it was honestly a blast to use, and I still think it would be really fun to use other vehicle classes in different types of races because it will really mix up the gameplay a lot. And like for example, using a touring bike on a street event, I had a really good time with this and it was honestly really fun. I would say many players probably aren't using the actual street class bikes because they're not very fast, which I will have a video on that coming later this week as well, guys, so stay tuned for that. But besides that, I did have a really good time with this summit, but if you guys have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into this.
you.